Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into 10 critical news sources, all published right around June 2nd, 2026. We're looking at everything from deep dive think tank reports to really candid interviews with tech leaders, all to figure out why the timeline to artificial general intelligence, or AGI, is shrinking so rapidly. But more importantly, we're going to explore why so many experts are suddenly calling today's technological landscape a mere dress rehearsal for the future of humanity. Let's kick things off with this absolutely provocative thought from Demis Hassabis, the CEO of Google DeepMind. It perfectly captures the urgency you can feel buzzing through all these recent reports. When the head of one of the world's top AI labs tells you that we are at the foothills of the singularity and that the AI we are using right now is just a practice run, well, you have to pay attention. The implication here is wild. The AI we interact with today, it's just warming up for the main event. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll be covering 1. The shrinking AGI timeline, 2. Bridging the technical gaps, 3. The intelligence explosion catalyst, 4. Radical abundance versus global risk, and finally, 5. The adaptive policy playbook. Let's get right to it. Section 1. The shrinking AGI timeline. Expert forecasts shifting. Get a load of this number. 13 years. This comes from a massive new study on AI forecasting by the Rand Corporation. And that 13 years, it represents the drop in the median expert prediction for high-level machine intelligence in just a single year. Between a survey taken in 2022 and one published in 2023, the consensus arrival date plummeted from 2060 all the way down to 2047. For the longest time, experts had this sort of horizon bias, where AGI was always a comfortable 20 or 30 years away. But real empirical progress is finally shattering that illusion. Now, while that broader, slightly more conservative expert consensus lands in 2047, the timeline inside the actual AI labs is much, much tighter. Tech giants and industry leaders, who are fueled by just an exponential scaling in computing power and unprecedented capital, are actively targeting the 2030s. That could be just a few short years from now. And that's exactly why they are framing our current moment as the critical practice run with early agentic systems. Real quick, we need to define our terms here, because the jargon can get a bit blurry. Right now, the goal is AGI, artificial general intelligence. That's a system that matches human cognitive ability across virtually all economically valuable work. But you see, AGI is really just the necessary bridge to an even more profound leap, which is ASI, or artificial superintelligence. ASI would actually surpass the collective intelligence of all humans simultaneously. Let that sink in for a second. Moving on to Section 2, Bridging the Technical Gaps, Architectures for AGI. So what is actually standing between today's incredibly impressive chatbots and a true human-level AGI? Well, there's a fascinating debate happening right now among top AI researchers. On one side, you've got these scaling maximalists. They believe if we just throw exponentially more compute and data at our current models, boom, we hit AGI by the early 2030s. On the flip side are the paradigm shift advocates. They argue that current systems fundamentally don't understand reality, and that we actually need entirely new architectural breakthroughs, which pushes the timeline deeper into the 2030s or even 2040s. But regardless of which camp you fall into, our sources, ranging from DeepMind to independent analysts, all agree developers have to conquer 3 massive technical hurdles. First, they need to move from basic pattern matching to true long-term episodic memory. Second, they have to build multimodal world models. That means the AI actually understands physical reality and causality, not just the statistics of language. And third, agent architecture. The AI needs the ability to autonomously plan, use tools, and execute really complex, long-horizon tasks. Section 3, the intelligence explosion catalyst, recursive improvement. Okay, so if the hardware is scaling like crazy and researchers are closing those software gaps, how do we go from a steady march to an absolute sprint? The key catalyst here is something called recursive self-improvement. Basically, we are hitting a point where AI starts automating its own research and development. The data shows AI tools are already boosting human programmer speed by 56%. We're seeing AI scientists that can autonomously come up with hypotheses, run experiments, and literally write research papers. When an AI can build a slightly smarter AI, which then builds a much smarter one, you get this massive feedback loop. It's a dynamic that could compress decades of progress into just months. As you might guess, this extreme acceleration creates a super intense debate. Will we see a gradual takeoff or a rapid takeoff? A gradual takeoff means these self-improving capabilities are continuously rolled out into the economy. That gives society years to observe, adapt, and regulate. But the rapid takeoff, which some experts call the FOOM scenario, suggests this crazy acceleration might happen entirely behind closed doors inside tech labs. The system could literally reach superintelligence before the public even knows what hit them, completely outpacing our ability to govern it. And what happens when that kind of intelligence is unleashed on the economy? There's a brilliant analysis from Arena that uses this economic equation to outline the post-industrial reality. Now, don't worry, you don't need a math degree for this. Traditionally, output relies on capital and labor. But check out that M they introduce: machines and compute. In an AGI world, M acts as a perfect, infinitely reproducible substitute for human labor, which is L. The big takeaway here is that AGI theoretically ends the industrial age entirely, completely removing human labor as a bottleneck for economic growth. Which brings us to Section 4, Radical Abundance versus Global Risk, the post-industrial era. With a force this powerful, poised to completely rewrite the global economy, we're staring down two drastically different futures. And guys, these aren't just sci-fi thought experiments. Heavyweight institutions like the RAND Corporation and the Federation of American Scientists have literally convened top experts to outline the sheer scale of what's at stake from an economic and national security standpoint. And their consensus? The stakes are absolutely absolute. We are walking a razor-thin tightrope here. If we lean one way, we enter an era of radical abundance. Leaders like Hassabis envision AGI doing things like curing all diseases, cracking clean fusion energy, and effectively creating a post-scarcity society. But lean the other way, and the global risks are terrifying. We're talking turbocharged cyber terror, the democratization of bioweapon creation, AI systems completely deviating from human control, and severe geopolitical escalation as powers like the US and China race to integrate AI into their militaries. Finally, Section 5, the adaptive policy playbook, securing our future. To secure that radical abundance and actually survive the risks, we can't just sit on our hands. We have to use this current era, this practice run, to build our defenses. The Federation of American Scientists released a policy playbook demanding immediate action. They argue we need to build government capacity for rigorous, independent testing of these models before they launch. We have to ditch static academic benchmarks and focus on actual operational capability signposts. Plus, we need serious antitrust enforcement to stop any single company from monopolizing our post-industrial future alongside massive international coordination. Yet, despite having these incredibly clear playbooks, there's still a crazy amount of complacency out there. Dimas Hassabis even explicitly called out that many top economists are completely failing to grasp the magnitude of what's on our doorstep. Many of our sources actually compare this exact moment to the dawn of the nuclear age, echoing Einstein's famous warning letter to FDR. We are standing on the edge of a total economic and geopolitical paradigm shift, and honestly, treating this like just another standard software update is a very dangerous miscalculation. So, I want to leave you with this final provocative thought to chew on. If the developers inside these leading labs are right, and this current dress rehearsal for AGI wraps up in the 2030s, are our global institutions, our laws, and our societies moving anywhere near fast enough to govern the main event? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I highly encourage you to keep asking the hard questions about the rapid pace of our technological future.